Hello and welcome back once again to Jamie's Running. We are here with another shoe review. It's another Nike box. And this time, it's the Nike Pegasus 30. So my reason for buying this shoe then, we are heading into the colder, wetter, darker months, and I was looking for something that's going to allow me to just bag those long, easy miles. A real workhorse, but something that's also going to keep my feet dry in the inclement weather that we are experiencing at the moment. So yesterday I wore a white pair of Saucony Endorphin Speeds for a long run, got caught up in a shower, and they are absolutely trash now. So I was looking for a dark colorway that's really going to survive the autumn and winter. So the Pegasus 37 has been out for quite a while now, but the Shield version is a fairly new release. And with the Nike members sale that was on earlier this week, I thought it was an opportunity to pick up a pair and see just how good this Shield is at keeping the feet dry. So first impressions, straight out of the box then, and the first thing you notice is the feeling of the shoe. It's got a weird sort of rubbery texture to it. One word I would use to describe it is it's a little bit like a wetsuit, if that makes sense. It's got this sort of weird material overlay on the upper there, which comes up over the bottom half of the laces. That's quite a stretchy membrane, and the intention there is to protect the upper from the elements and keep the water out. But even around the sides, it's got this sort of strange rubbery texture. I'll hold it up, I don't know if you can see, but it's got a little bit of a sheen, a bit of a shine to the material, and it just feels quite rubbery. There wasn't much choice in terms of exciting colorways, particularly in my size, which is a UK 13. I wanted a dark colorway anyway, but I did opt for the pink swoosh and the green pull tab there, just to add at least a little bit of excitement, and it contrasts quite nicely with the light grey midsole there. The midsole itself feels pretty tough. It's not very squishy. And just giving it a bit of a bend, let's get rid of that. Just giving it a bit of a bend, it's quite sturdy as well. So I'm interested to see just how comfortable that is during the run and whether you get any energy return as you toe off. In terms of the laces then, there's nothing overly exciting to report, just standard laces. You've got a traditional lacing system there. There's a double eyelet at the top, which will allow for the use of the runner's knot, which I'll be applying to ensure I get that security of fit and to avoid my ankle moving up and down. Around the back of the ankle, there's quite a lot of cushioning there. It feels a little bit like a comfortable pillow, and so I'm hoping that that holds the Achilles and ankle nicely in place and provides a nice bit of support there, particularly if I'm going to be using this to be clocking up lots of longer runs. The tongue is attached inside, and it doesn't feel like you can get through to the actual inside of the shoe via this gap at the side here, so that might protect a little bit from water, although if you were to become fully submerged, I would imagine that your foot's going to get wet regardless. That's not going to keep the water completely out, but perhaps if you were to go up to here, you'd be fine. Now moving on to the outsole, they've got this Storm Tread wet traction rubber, and hopefully what this is going to do, it's going to prevent me from slipping and sliding on all those fallen autumn leaves and in those puddles, and keep me upright during the run. There's great coverage of that rubber outsole all over the sole of the shoe, and it's also quite thick. So just looking at where I would usually wear through my shoes, so if you've watched my videos before, you'll know that I supinate slightly, and I have a tendency to wear through the lateral side of my outsole fairly quickly. The rubber feels quite sturdy. There's plenty of it, and so hopefully that means I'm going to be getting a lot of miles out of these before I wear through to the midsole. Right, so what I'm going to do now is just give them a quick try on and see how they feel. That slipped on with no problems whatsoever. The first thing that I notice is that they're not all that wide. So I've got quite wide feet anyway, but my feet are feeling a little bit restricted around the outside and also where my big toe is. So one thing you can feel is that heel cushion. You can really feel it holding around the back of your Achilles and around the ankle. So I'm hoping that's going to provide comfort during the run as opposed to getting annoying. So even without applying the runner's nut, I do feel like I've already got a pretty secure fit. They don't feel overly bouncy, so I'm not sure how much cushioning they're going to give yet during the run. Okay, so we're just coming in from above then, and it's around about here that I can feel my toe is touching against the side of the upper there. The shoe itself is actually quite thin at the front, which I hadn't noticed initially. I've got plenty of room in front of my toes. It's just around the sides here where my big toe seems to be touching on that sort of rubber overlay around the front of the foot. And so I'm hoping that that's not going to cause me any problems while I'm running. There's no issues with the security of the fit. It's really just this area here that's causing me a couple of concerns. The middle of the shoe around the arch does actually come in a fair bit here, which sees my fairly wide feet overhanging a bit there. So I don't actually think there's a great deal more that I can say about the shoe around the house, really. It is pretty comfortable, but the feeling is actually a little bit underwhelming. There's nothing that really stands out about the shoe. So I think what I need to do is to lay them out with the rest of my running kit and take them for a run at the earliest opportunity tomorrow.
Okay then, so I am coming up to kilometre 1, and actually I'm pleasantly surprised. So the shoe in the house felt a bit underwhelming, but once I started to run, they didn't feel quite as heavy as they had done in the house. That sort of narrowness at the front of the shoe, I'm not feeling that this early in the run anyway, and they're actually quite comfortable. Getting a little bit of energy return, the landing feels pretty cushioned. So first kilometre, so far so good. We're just taking on this leaf-lined incline, see how they hold on those uphills. So I guess we're going to turn it around and go back down that hill to see how it holds on the declines. So I'm now 3.5 kilometres in. The ride has been comfortable so far. I feel like I'm getting a bit of energy return from that air zoom unit, which is sitting just underneath sort of the ball of the foot, the midfoot. The React Foam midsole is providing enough cushioning to be comfortable with each landing and each toe off. The transition from landing to toe off feels fairly comfortable. I do feel as though the shoe is quite big. All that cushioning around the heel and generally just the size of the shoe, it doesn't feel like a super fast shoe. So far I'm going at an easy pace and it's been fine up to now. So I'm approaching 6 kilometers now. So what I want to do next is to pick up the pace towards that threshold tempo sort of pace, just to see A, how the shoe manages that acceleration, and then how it manages to hold the faster pace as I'm heading towards race pace. And I'll try and hold a faster pace for perhaps a kilometer or so. Heading into that interval now, let's go. We've moved up towards 3 minutes and 30 a kilometre, but I did feel the extra weight of the shoe during that acceleration, and I am feeling a bit as though my big toe is rubbing against my second toe. I'll come back to you at the end of the interval. So that's one interval then at a fairly sturdy effort. Annoyingly, a couple of 100 metres into that, both of my shoelaces came undone and the shoes started to loosen off, and that's never happened before, so it was pretty strange. I did have to stop, pull them tight and retie them, but it was just really frustrating. And actually, when I was retying them, what I noticed was at the end of the laces, there's not a lot of extra lace to tie with. You can really only do one single knot. And because the laces themselves are quite smooth, they just didn't seem to be gripping. And so they obviously worked themselves loose as soon as I started to put in that extra bit of effort. Now, one thing I'm really impressed with is the grip. So the traction on that outsole has been fantastic. I've been through puddles, I've been running on leafy surfaces, I've been running on smooth tarmac, I'm running on this sort of gravelly tarmac, and I'm running with confidence. I'm taking corners confidently. So yeah, on the grip front, they've been fantastic. Right, so here we are coming in for the finish. And that is it then. So then, 8.88 kilometers in a time of 40 minutes and 55 seconds, averaging 4 minutes and 36 a kilometer. I did 5k fairly easy, just to get a feel for the shoe. I then picked it up towards race pace and did 1 kilometer, an interval of 3 minutes and 34 seconds, just to see how it held up that sort of race pace, and then went easy towards the end. We've taken on some twists, some turns, some ups, some downs, we've been through some puddles. So quick high-level overview then. So the positives, they kept my feet dry. I did manage to splash through a few puddles and there's no sign of wet inside the shoe. My feet still feel dry and comfortable. The shoe felt comfortable at that easier pace. So the React midsole provided a nice amount of cushioning. The air units provided a decent amount of energy return. Perhaps the biggest positive that I found though was the grip. So the outsole seemed to provide a really sturdy and secure grip, taking on the twists and the turns, on the leaves, through the puddles. I wasn't worried that I was going to slip or slide anywhere, and that's a real positive, particularly as we're heading into the autumn and winter when it's getting wetter, it's getting more slippy outside. So big thumbs up for that from me. And so now in terms of negatives, so as soon as I started to pick up the pace, the shoes started to feel a bit sluggish. I didn't find it all that easy to accelerate. It felt like a bit of a laboured effort, and also holding the faster pace. My feet began to feel a bit uncomfortable. Towards the front where they're slightly narrow, my toes started to rub together and started to create a little bit of friction and a bit of heat under the ball of my foot as well at that faster pace. So definitely not a shoe that I would use for race day. The other issue, something that I've never had before, was the laces coming undone. What I think I might do is switch the laces out, either for some longer ones or for some self-tying laces. And finally, it is quite a heavy shoe, and you can sort of feel that. It feels quite chunky, a massive amount of cushioning. It does feel fairly bulky on your feet. But given that my intention is to use it for those long, easy runs, I don't think that that's going to be a problem. I'm not going to be pushing the pace all that much. And so as long as I'm able to run comfortably at the easy pace, which I was today, I think we're going to be all right. So great, thank you for watching. Comment, like, subscribe, all of that sort of great stuff. And I look forward to seeing you on the next video.